It's kind of crazy. I'll walk into the other studio, see this, and it's like, damn, I own a word.
Not apologetic, dude.
Today I got my trademark renewal in the mail, and the trademark office was nice enough to label it pending trademark cancellation, which just means it's time to renew. What does renewal mean? It means I gotta give them some money, right? So I thought about how crazy it is that you can own a word and no one else can use that word. I own Travisty in the category of musical sound recordings and recorded audio. So that means anything that's put up on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, whether it be music or whether it be this show, I own that name in recorded audio. So I bought the trademark years and years ago, and I recommend everyone do it. I bought it when I was heavily into music. So under the name Travisty, if you go on, iTunes, whatever, I have a dozen CDs, right? And I wanted to make sure no one would be able to pull that down. Now, I know a lot of people who kind of get a little bit of a buzz and get to moving, and they haven't done that yet. And that's absolutely ridiculous. I originally was making music when I was younger underneath the name Schizo G. Had, 5 or 6 CDs underneath that name. What winded up happening was a dude from Detroit, I believe he was part of Esham's crew, maybe a hype man or something. He used the name Schizo and he had it trademarked. Eventually, I received a bunch of cease and desist, and he effectively removed everything of mine from iTunes, Amazon Music, all that. I think there's still some stuff up on YouTube. So I winded up doing a name change, and I wanted to make sure I was protected. The funny thing is that I see a lot of people trying to use this name. Sometimes I'll cease and desist them. Basically, as long as you have this right here, you're able to contact YouTube, iTunes, whoever, and get everything removed. Now, recently, there's been one guy, I know he's doing it because his revenue from his streams are being put into my account. Now, bear in mind, it's not anything, right? It's just a few pennies. And typically, I'll be nice and I'll send someone an email and let them know, hey, if you're really serious about this, you're kind of going to need to change the name, because if you do blow up, you're going to have a huge roadblock, and that roadblock is me. So whether you're doing podcasting, whether you're doing music, anything that you have a stage name that needs to be protected. Like I say, though, there are categories. Okay, so I don't own the Travisty trademark for apparel, for example. I know there's a Travisty brand that spells it the same way. I don't think they're registered either, but it goes by categories. And when you apply, bear in mind, this is an expensive process. I think getting it originally filed was somewhere, this was years and years ago, $1,500 to $3,000, I think. And the renewal that's due this month, it is for $1,090, so $1,100 to renew it. But yeah, I own the word Travisty. That is absolutely bonkers. So when you do apply, you need to have your first use ready. You need to document everything from social media pages to releases to anything you've done publicly under that name. You'll file it. It's a several step process. I believe it took me about 6 months, but it's being forever protected. I think of these trademarks in the same way I think of like property I buy. Okay, it's a little bit of a piggy bank. Now, obviously the property's a guarantee, whereas this is not, but let's say in the future, I'm not doing anything creative. Let's say a guy comes out, he starts to blow up, he owns that name. What's going to wind up happening is I'm going to start getting notifications everywhere. Let's say he puts a song up, it gets 1 million views. So I'm going to have a choice to either completely stop him and force a name change, or I could sell and transfer that trademark to him. Now, it's not anything I'm interested in doing now, but maybe down the road, there is a number I have in mind that I would sell it for. When I was a kid, or even now, I follow underground music. So there was a group out of Detroit, I think, again. And they were some of Twisted's old crew, and I think they were going by House of Crazies at that time. And their label owned their trademark, owned their name. Never let that happen under any reason. Your buddy, your label, your nothing. So when they winded up leaving that deal, which apparently was a pretty bad deal, that label owned that name. So they had to instantly change their names. I think they changed it to Half Breed maybe. But that's the thing. If someone were to be using the name Travisty and then they get 3 million streams and they have to change their name to Bubbalicious, right? No one's looking for Bubbalicious. They're looking for that hot song they found under Travisty, so it can essentially kill your growth. I know it's a lot of money, but it's something I recommend doing more or less day one. And before you do that, I mean, you got to scour the internet to see who's using it. I'm not talking about a YouTube search. I'm talking about Googling, looking into everything, going to like page 28 on Google, right? Make sure that you're protected on this stuff. Let's say your name is MC Squarepants and someone else starts using MC Squarepants on YouTube. All you have to do is contact them or contact YouTube, show the proof from the United States Patent and Trademark Office. YouTube will force them to take it down. iTunes will do the same, and it depends on what category you're in. If you are in clothing, you can get them shut down on everything from Etsy to, Walmart.com if they're selling on it. But it's a way to keep yourself protected. Now, I am going to go ahead and renew this. It looks like I have, I'll probably go ahead and do it today. But yeah, $1,100 is kind of a bit of a slap in the face, but it also depends on how many categories you're in, right? If you're in multiple categories, it's going to be that $1,100 plus an extra $550 for every category you're in. It's the same when you apply. So my application was $1,500 to $3,000, but if you're covering yourself in, let's say, recorded audio, distributed albums, print media, clothing, you're going to be several $1,000s. And I believe you have a choice between a 3 or 5 year renewal. Also, you can go on the United States Patent and Trademark Office and you can search for everything. You can see who owns it. You can see who they are. You can contact them. Maybe they want a deal, but more importantly, it lets you know if you're barking up the wrong tree. Now, of course, if you're using your real name, I'm not really sure the legality of that. You're probably a little more protected than using a fictitious name. But yeah, it is kind of crazy. I'll walk into the other studio, see this, and it's like, damn, I own a word. Really means nothing, but it's kind of cool. There's other trademarks I'm involved in that have nothing to do with what I'm doing here, but it seems like a good investment to have to not only protect you, but hell, maybe I get a huge payday at the end of all this. And that's not bad with me. Now, for anyone who noticed, Thomas could not make it today, so we got Demon Face taking his place. He had some problems. I truly hope those are not trademark related. He'll be back next week. Hopefully, I will as well. Thank you for tuning in.
Drop down. Snap. Ah!
Good night.
Non-apologetic news. Non-apologetic news.